Hello beaders, it's Jerry. Welcome back to Beachside Bead Boutique. And if you are new here, welcome and thank you so much for joining me. On this channel, I do jewelry DIYs, bead unboxing videos, and bead hauls. And this project is actually extra special to me today because I am going to be upcycling some of my old fabric after losing 75 pounds. I wanted to turn my old clothes that no longer fit me into beautiful jewelry. So today we are going to do just that. And I'm going to show you how to take some old scraps, whatever kind of scraps you have. It could be even something you thrift. It could be something, same thing that no longer fits you. You could use bandana. I use bandana for a lot of different things. So grab your scrap fabric, grab your beads and your tools, and let's get started. Okay, beater, so this is one of the pieces of fabric that I'm going to use to make my tassel. And this is a very long shirt. See, and it has this nice little embellishment down here. So that'll also add a nice touch to the tassel. But I just thought the colors were very pretty, nice and fallish. But it's like a lightweight, whatever this kind of crinkle material is. It might be like a rayon. It doesn't say on the tag. But so this is one of the materials that I'm going to use for the tassel. So what I'm going to do, and I already cut a couple pieces here, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut some at the bottom, some very thin strips. So I don't want them too thick. I'm not measuring anything though. So I'm just going to make a couple of cuts in this material at the bottom. And I'm going to be sure to get this nice embellishment down here. Now, if you want to measure it, so they're all the same, you can, but I'm not. This is a boho tassel, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, so I'm just going to take my fabric now where I cut, and I'm going to hold them and then pull the first strip, and I'm going to pull it all the way so that I get some of all these colors here, and then I'm just going to cut it at the end to cut it off. So see, not very thick. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue doing that, and I will be right back and show you the next piece of fabric. Okay, I cut several pieces of my fabric into strips. Isn't it really pretty colors though? I really like this, and it has a nice fall vibe, I think. And I'm going to show you the other shirt that I'm going to use for material. And same thing, it's very fallish and fitting for this time of the year. So this is the second piece of material that I'm going to use. It's very pretty with this golden color and then this nice burgundy with the green, and very pretty paired with this fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some strips from this. And this one doesn't have any embellishments or anything on it. But I'm just going to do the same thing as I did with the first one. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys this material. And obviously you're not going to have the same material as I have. So you can use just any kind of material that you have that, will look good together. Same thing, like a fallish color tone if you wanted. So I'm just giving you the inspiration. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, cut these strips, and I will be back. Okay, beater, so I cut quite a bit of my fabric strips, as you can see. So I don't know that I'm going to use all this. I mean, it is a lot, But you know, to keep all these scrap items that came off of your clothes, because this is crafts right here. You know, this is a lot of crafting can be done with these frayed thread strands and little pieces like this. So, you know, and this has a lot. There's a lot of things that you could do with these leftover pieces here. So we don't throw anything away, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to make our tassel first. Now I'm going to take this gold 20 gauge wire I got from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to cut about a 10-inch piece. So make it nice and straight, and take your flush cutters and cut a 10-inch piece. And then I'm going to take my bail making pliers, and I'm going to use the smallest loop, and I'm going to create a coil with my wire. And then make sure you flatten it down so there are no sharp edges. Next, I'm going to take an unfinished wood bead, and this is 20 millimeter, and I'm going to feed the wire through. So I'm taking it all the way down to the coil that we created. And the bead is going to act as a base for our fabric to lay on. So I'm just going to feed the fabric right through the wire. And make sure the fabric pattern is facing up. So see, I'm just feeding it directly on top of the wire. The wire is going right through the fabric. It's very easy and lightweight, so the fabric is easily going through there. And I'm alternating the strips of fabric between the two shirt patterns that I have. And I'm just going to go ahead and continue doing that until I feel that my tassel is full enough. And then I was thinking of using this lacy fabric. Doesn't look bad. But nah, decided against it. Doesn't look right. And the wood bead that I put in there is going to help form the ball at the top of the tassel. And of course, you don't have to use a wood bead. You can use whatever kind of bead that you have. But you do want a larger bead, so then that way your ball on the top will be nice and full. And you'll see what I'm talking about. And play with your tassel and make sure that it's the size that you want. And now I'm going to take some of this wax cording, and this is 0.5 millimeter, and I'm just going to cut probably about a good 12-inch piece. And I'm going to fix it to the top of my tassel, right under where the bead is that we put on. And that's to make a nice ball at the top. So I'm going to tie that really tight, and for my ball, just pull it. Make sure it is nice and tight. And then I'm going to cut another piece of cord the same length and do the same thing. And this is to make sure that it is extra sturdy so that the tassel doesn't come apart. And I think this looks really good. Now I'm going to take some of these Czech glass bead mix, and I got that from Hobby Lobby. And some of these bead mix, and I also got this from Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to put some of these beads on the cording that we put on the tassel. So just to give it a little bit of an extra decorative touch. So make sure you form your cord into a point so you can put your beads on easier. And I'm not doing this in any kind of specific pattern. I'm just putting different tans and browns, a little bit of blue. Like I said, just to add a little bit of decorative touch. So I'm going to put a couple of beads and then I'm going to tie it. So I'll tie a knot, a couple of knots. And then I'll add some more beads underneath that. And just keep doing that to all the strands of cord. And just play around with this to determine which beads look best with your fabric and the pattern that you have. And also, since I'm going with a fall vibe, I decided to use some of these Czech glass leaf charms I got from Bead Box Bargains. I think that would enhance the fall vibe, and then also the color looks really pretty with the color of my fabric. And this is how it looks now after I attached all the beads to the cord that I'm going to use. And I think it looks really good. So I put 2 of those Czech glass leaf beads and then several of the glass seed beads. And then also a few of those wood-like beads. And now I'm going to take some of this jute cord and cut about a 10-inch piece. And I'm going to tie a knot with that right above the wax cord that we put on our tassel. And I'm going to tie this really tight. And then I'm also going to form a little bow. And I'm just going to cut the edges just a little bit. We don't want it to overpower the cord with our beads on it. Just want to add a little bit of extra decorative touch there. And then I'm going to cut the bottom of my tassel just a little bit, just to make it a little bit shorter, but you can keep it as long or short as you want it. And I'm not cutting it even. It's just going to be kind of jaggedy and a little fringy. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my glue and just brush it on that jute cord where the knot is, just to keep it in place. And I love this shabby boho tassel. I think it looks really, really good. And then I'm going to take one of these small wooden rings, and I got this pack from Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to take one of my pieces of a fabric, and I'm just going to wrap it around the ring. And as always, the items that I use will be linked in my description box. And I would love to have you as part of the Beaders community. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing and also like this video if you enjoyed the content. I would greatly appreciate it. And I'm going to continue wrapping this fabric around the wooden ring and use my fabric fusion to seal it. And then once I have my ring completed, I'm going to let it sit for a little while to let the tacky glue dry. And then we're going to move on to the next step. And now I'm going to take my tassel and attach it to the wooden ring. So I'm going to feed the wire through the center, and then I'm going to bend it forward over the ring, and then I'm just going to wire wrap the wire on itself. And I'm not making a neat wrap. And make sure you push your sharp edges down. And now I'm going to cut another piece of wire, and I'm going to attach that just right over the wire that we just put on. And that's just to make that area a little bit thicker. And I'm going to start out by coiling the wire. So I'm just going to take my round nose pliers and form a coil. And then I'm going to attach it on top of the wire that we just put on. See, I'm just wrapping it around just to make it a little bit fuller and thicker. Now again, I'm not doing a neat wrap. Now again, I'm going to coil the edge one more time, and then I'm going to push it down into the wire to make sure there are no sharp edges. And these are the beads that I'm going to use for my necklace. These are Tiger's Eye nuggets. And these are 8mm ruby zoisite. And I think this looks really pretty with that. And then also 6mm carnelian agate. And this is all of them together. I think they look really, really pretty. And I got all these beads from the Orlando Bead Show, and I do have a video if you'd like to check that out to see all the beautiful beads that I got. But you can pretty much get these beads from any beading supply store. And I'm also going to use these gold spacer beads that I got from Hobby Lobby. And now I'm going to take the same wax core that I used on the tassel, and I'm going to fold this in half and cut a 30-inch strand. And now I'm just going to make sure that the cord is even at the bottom, and then I'm going to feed the middle section through the wood ring. And then I'm going to take the cords over the top of the wood ring and feed it through that middle loop, and that's going to form our knot. And then you want to pull the cords down so they're nice and secure, nice and tight. And then I'm going to separate my cords and then give it another pull, make sure that knot is tight. And then I'm also going to form knots on each side to make sure that it is nice and secure. And now I'm going to start stringing my beads. Make sure that your cord is in a point, and then I'm going to start with my gold spacer bead, and I'm going to feed that on. Next, I'm going to take my tiger's eye nugget bead, and then another gold spacer, and then my carnelian agate, and then another gold spacer, and then my ruby zoisite. And this is how it looks. Make sure everything is pushed down. And then I'm going to start again with a gold spacer. Make sure you have your point. And you could even cut it a little bit at an angle, and that'll help feed your beads on better if you are having trouble. And then my tiger's eye nugget, and then another gold spacer, then my carnelian agate, another gold spacer, and my ruby zoisite. And now I'm going to repeat the same pattern 2 more times on this side, and then I'm going to go to the other side and do that same pattern 4 times. And I'm also going to end each side with a gold spacer bead, just like we started. Okay, so I finished stringing both sides, and I think it looks really, really good. Make sure you have the same pattern, the same beads, and the same pattern on each side before you continue. And now I'm going to take 2 of my largest jump rings, and I'm going to feed it through the cord and take it all the way down to the top of our last bead. And then I'm going to form a knot around the jump ring. So I'm just going to wrap it around my 2 fingers and form the knot just like we've done before. And then take my tweezers right on top of that last bead and make sure that it lays down on that last bead and pull it tight. Make sure the jump ring is inside the knot. And I'm going to go ahead and make a knot one more time right on top of that knot that we just made. Make sure it is tight. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of my brush-on glue and brush it right on top of the knot to make sure that it is secure. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other side. Put on a jump ring and then form 2 knots. And now we're going to finish off the necklace with this fabric strip. And it measures approximately 15 inches long. And now I'm going to feed it through one of my jump rings, pulling it through to about 1 inch of length. And now I'm going to take a piece of 20 gauge wire that I cut at about 12 inches. And I'm going to wrap it around that edge of fabric right there. And make sure that the fabric is secure around the jump ring. Because that wire is the only thing keeping it secure. I'm not using anything else to secure it. And make sure the end is pushed down and that there are no sharp edges sticking up. And this is how it looks once I've completed it. And as you can tell, I did not do a neat wrap. I'm just making sure that everything is pushed down. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. And make sure that your fabric is secure to your jump rings and then it's not going to come off. Mine is. Mine is nice and tight. And we're going to take this wax cord that's dangling on each side and cut it off. And I was thinking of putting some beads on it and let it dangle on the side of the necklace, but I decided against that. And I'm going to cut this excess cord, the cord that we strung our beads on. I'm just going to cut that, and then I'm going to take my lighter and burn it down. And I'll do the same thing to the other side. Okay, guys, well, here is our shabby boho upcycled necklace. I really, really like this. I really do. I am really, really happy with this. And actually, I am probably going to do more styles similar to this using the upcycle fabric because I really, really like it. So I hope you guys like this video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.